New realms in Dead by Daylight are a bit of a rarity nowadays, but every once in a while a new realm is dropped into the fog. And with the 9.5 PTB, the main feature of this new patch is a new map and realm, with the map called Trickster's Delusion and the realm called Sleepless District. Between the many bright neon lights, the detailed shops, and the plethora of background noises, the new map is truly one of the best designed maps, aesthetically speaking. When looking at the map from a gameplay perspective though, that's where I become a little concerned. My first impression when playing the map on both sides was that the map is overall mediocre at best when it comes to the gameplay experience. With any new map, there's always a high chance for problematic windows and palette setups, and this map certainly checks off some of those boxes. There's a few windows that can be fairly strong if you know how to loop them, and the palettes range from extremely unsafe to super safe. But overall, the loops aren't anything unsurprising given the history of new maps in DBD. However, the way generators spawn on this map is what I've been paying close attention to, as a static map like this means that the way generators spawn can be a determining factor in the result of some matches. Realms like Macmillan, Autohaven, and Coldwind, for example, have a set layout, but with different maze tiles and filler loops that can spawn. While generators in these realms still have very general spawn locations, there's not nearly as many fixed spawns, resulting in generators having a more varied location spawn. Meanwhile, maps like RPD have a firm layout with very little RNG, and generators spawn in mostly the same places. Trickster's Delusion is very similar to RPD in that regard, and thus why I'm a little concerned about what I've seen with this new map. I've pinpointed the two potential problems with the way generators spawn on Trickster's Delusion. Number 1, sometimes generators just don't spawn in every quadrant. Number 2, there's a chance for a market 3-gen. Before elaborating further on those two potential problems, I need to clarify how the layout of Trickster's Delusion works. Essentially, the map is roughly in the shape of a square, with the map itself being divided into 4 different areas of a city. The recent dev stream provided this overhead view of the map with each section highlighted. So when moving clockwise, at the top right you have the nightclub, then the low streets, then the market and park, and then finally the high streets. There's also a main street that runs through the market and in between the high streets and the nightclub, with the exit gates spawning at the ends of this street. But the overall main takeaway from this map layout is that it's divided into roughly 4 equal quadrants. Having a map with 4 distinctive areas like this should, in theory, make generator spawns fairly easy to balance. Mathematically speaking, a standard 1v4 match has 7 generators, so having at least 1 generator spawn in each quadrant is an easy way to determine at least 4 of the 7 gen spawns. The remaining 3 spawns are a little trickier, but they can be placed in 3 separate quadrants, which would leave 3 of the 4 quadrants having 2 gens and 1 quadrant having just 1. Alternatively, the 3 remaining gen spawns could be spread around by placing 1 gen spawn in the street and then having the other 2 gens spawn in other quadrants. But I don't want to get too in the weeds with the different combinations that can be done, otherwise it'd involve hours of rotating through different layouts. So returning to the first potential problem that I outlined earlier, it's actually possible for generators to not always spawn in every quadrant. In this custom match, for example, there were 0 generators in the high streets. The consequence of not having a generator in at least 1 quadrant is that it gives survivors a safe area to run to, while also squeezing generators tighter together in the rest of the map, making gens easier to patrol for the killer. Whether these impacts are positive or negative depend on a variety of things, like if you're playing either survivor or killer. But from a gameplay perspective, it just feels bizarre to not have a generator spawn in an area that takes up 25% of the map. There's absolutely situations where generators spawn in strange arrangements on other maps, but with this being a brand new map, I personally wouldn't anticipate something like this being fully possible. In my view, this seems like a small oversight, because I honestly can't think of a good reason as to why a quadrant of the map can have 0 objectives for survivors. Players on both sides should have a reason to explore each quadrant at some point during a match. Instead, there's now less of a reason if the gens decide to spawn like this. The second potential problem is one that can occur a bit more frequently than the last, with that being what I call the market 3-gen. In the market and park quadrant of the map, there are 2 gens that always spawn in the same spots. The first one is the gen that spawns in Shack, the second one is a gen that sits at the edge of the market and the park. Because these 2 gens appear locked into their spawn location, all it takes is for 1 more generator to spawn close by and a 3-gen can be formed. And coincidentally enough, there is a chance for a gen to spawn closer to the middle of the map, albeit directly in the street, but attached to the edge of the market. And thus, the market 3-gen is born. Now, just because 3 generators spawn sort of close together doesn't always mean that a strong 3-gen can be held. However, generally speaking, if gens spawn this close together, if a killer wants to really try and hold a 3-gen, they can certainly make things miserable if they want to. A bonus on top of this all is that a generator can also spawn in a shop close by to the street gen, making this 3-gen a bit more flexible if needed. The thing about this that causes the most concern is simply the fact that it's possible for 3 generators to spawn in the same quadrant of this map in particular. This genuinely makes no logical sense for this to even be possible when it comes to designing this map. And while I understand that maps have gotten smaller over time and that some gens being located closer together isn't always a bad thing, how is it seriously possible for a brand new map to have 3 gens spawn all in the same quadrant? This map was specifically designed and advertised as being sectioned off into 4 unique quadrants, so it makes zero mathematical sense to have 3 generators spawn in one of the quadrants. A reasonable thing to mark on a checklist when creating a new map like this one should be ensuring that none of the quadrants can accidentally spawn 3 gens. All of this is eerily familiar though to another recent map with a built-in 3-gen, with that being Fallen Refuge. I'm all for having new maps, as they help refresh and spice up the gameplay from time to time, but if new maps can spawn complementary 3-gens while also having questionable loop designs, I'm not so sure more new maps are needed. I suppose the vibes and visuals are the most important though, especially when the new map is one of the main advertising points for a new patch like this one. But in short, given the history of new map designs, I'm not that surprised that this 3-gen is possible. But at the same time, I am somehow amazed that it is. Again, this map is hands down one of the best designed maps from a visual perspective. There's so many details and unique features that make this map pop with color and character. All in all, Trickster's Delusion is an instant reminder of how underrated DBD's art and creative team is. The gameplay experience on this map though is where things become murky. The strength of some windows and palettes will truly be put to the test once this map goes to the live servers. The generator spawns on this map are bewildering if the RNG allows for it, and there's reason for some concern, in my humble opinion, with some of these combinations. I sincerely hope that the Market 3-gen is not nearly as bad or much of a problem as it could very well be, but again, this will only be truly put to the test once this map hits the live servers. But anyways, thank you for watching. That is all for now.